Step 1 of how to hit 10k in your 20s is figuring out your time horizon. That will tell you how much you need to save each month to get there. For example, if you want to hit 10k in a year, you need to save £833 each month. And that can be a tall order if you're making minimum wage or you just started working an entry-level job. But if you can't, that's fine. The goal was just to start. When I first started working towards my first 10k, I was broken in debt. I'm not gonna lie. I just got married, my car broke down, so I was so demoralized. However, once I cleared these financial monstrosities, I was saving around £300 to £400 each month for a good few years. It took me a couple of years before I reached the point at which I'm at, where I'm able to save £833 each month, translate into 10k a year. Step 2 of how to save your first 10k is you need to start tracking your income and expenses if you aren't already. You should hopefully already know how much is coming in each month from your job or self-employment. However, the majority of people don't track their expenses, which leads them to spending everything that they make and inconsistent savings each month. If you want to hit your first 10k, you need to get on a budget to start tracking your income and expenses and living below your means, which simply just means not spending everything that you make. The more you can decrease your expenses, whether they be your needs such as housing, utilities, transport costs, groceries, those are your financial four walls. Or your wants, things like retail shopping, your subscriptions, your memberships, a Starbucks, coffee in the morning, and eating out. The more money you'll have left over each month to save towards your 10k goal in your 20s. I recommend starting off with a zero-based budget to begin with. And this is essentially where you just list out all of your total income each month and then subtract all of your outgoings broken down into your needs and your wants, and then you just see what you have left over at the end of the month, which will be your savings. And once you've done that, you've got to do the ruthless exercise of cutting out as much as you can from your expenses category. Decide what you're willing to sacrifice now for future you to have a better life. And the more that you can increase this amount, the faster you're going to get towards that 10k goal. Guys, you enjoying this video so far? Drop a like and let YouTube know that you're personally invested. Now back to the video. Step 3 of hitting 10k in your 20s is increasing your income. Now obviously this is easier said than done, right? However, it took me a while to understand that you can only cut your expenses down by so much. I mean, you literally need to pay for some bills to survive. However, the amount you can earn is technically unlimited. So once you're able to get your spending under control, you need to start working on how to increase your income. Listen, the average starting salary in the UK is 33k, which is close to £2,100 take home each month. Now saving £833 from that is basically saving 40% of your income. And this is highly unrealistic unless you're living at home, because literally rent is such a big part of everyone's monthly expenses. So being able to increase your income whilst keeping your expenses flat or increasing slightly will help you build wealth much faster. You just need to make sure you avoid lifestyle creep, which is spending more as you're making more. One way you can increase your income much faster is by starting a side hustle. If you can make an extra £500 a month from a side hustle outside of your day job, you're going to hit 10k much quicker. I used to do food delivery for Deliveroo, Uber Eats and Just Eats, and I was making between £500 and £600 each month on top of my 9 to 5, and this helped me to save tremendously faster. Listen, I'm not telling you have to go out and start doing Uber or Deliveroo. There are tons of side hustles out there on the internet, which you can start in a couple of days and start making money very quickly. My tip here is to look at your lifestyle and think of what makes sense for you, whether it be a physical or a digital side hustle, and also pick something that is sustainable, something that's not going to burn you out and that you can continue to do for the foreseeable future. Another way to increase your income is to get a better paying job or a promotion at work. Now, this one is so much harder than starting a side hustle, especially in the job market that we're in. And I'm personally interviewing and trying to get a better paying job, and I'm just getting rejected left, right and center. Boy, the amount of interviews I've done in the last couple of months is eye-watering, and it's so demotivating and demoralizing. Interviewing, getting rejected, putting applications forward and hearing, unfortunately, you've been unsuccessful due to this large pool of applicants or whatever, doing first, second, third stage interviews just to either get aired or get told that they took the higher external or took the job down. But I'm not going to let that stop me, because I understand that landing a new job is a numbers game. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So if you can land a higher paying job by upskilling yourself at work, delivering some big items, and then using these as a leverage on your CV to land a better paying job that pays you 10, 20, 30% more than your current job, that's going to be massive for you on this journey of hitting 10K in your 20s. I've personally seen my income climb from 33K to 50K in the last 4 years through my salary increasing and job hopping. Bonus tip, external hires get paid more than internal recruits. So if you're trying to land a better paying job, you should really consider looking outside of your current company. If you do, you will get paid more than if you got an internal promotion. And that's because the outside company doesn't know your current salary. And so they can't lowball you like they can if they already know what you're getting paid if you work for the company. Now, I've done a video on why job interviews are a humiliation ritual. It's a little bit of a light-hearted satire that you can check out. Or if you need help answering some interview questions, I've got a video on how to answer dumb interview questions that you might get asked. Check that one out also. Step number 4 of hitting 10K in your 20s? Now that's investing. Now, I've got to preface this by saying this isn't financial advice, even though the information I'm about to share is still correct and beneficial. However, if you want to see your money grow faster, investing in the stock market through index funds is the way to go for most beginners. A simple S&P 500 index fund such as VOO, which is Vanguard's ETF that tracks the 500 largest companies in the US, will be a great starting point for most beginners. Now, the S&P 500 has averaged around 10% return over the last 50 years. And to be completely honest with you, some years that can be more than 10%, some years that can be less than 10%, but on average it's 10%. Now look, your investment returns aren't going to be what's going to get you to your first 10K. Your savings is going to be what does the majority of the heavy lifting, as your returns at these levels aren't going to be that significant. Let's run the maths. 10% on 10K is 1K, which isn't a lot in light of hitting that first 10K. However, by learning to invest each and every month, you begin to train your investing muscle, and going from 10K to 20K is much faster, and 20 to 30, 30 to 100, 100 to a million, and so forth. Looking at a 10K example, to save that first 10K, you had to save 10K. And if you made 10%, you're now at 11K. Now to go from a 10K to 20K is much faster because now you only have to save 9K as opposed to 10K because you're starting from 11K. Okay? And now listen, if you save another 10K on top of your 11K and make 10% on that, you're now going to hit 23.1K in 2 years when you've only contributed 20K over those 2 years because your money's starting to compound and now that's working on your side. Compound interest just means your returns are earning you more returns. And the longer time you allow your money to compound, the more compound interest works for you. Getting this habit locked down early in your 20s is powerful for growing your net worth. Because if you invest 10K a year and get a 10% return each year for 40 years, from 25 to 65, you will have 5.2 million. Just open up a compound interest calculator and run the numbers. And guess what? The funny thing is, out of that 5.2 mil, only 400K was the money that you actually put in. The other 4.8 mil is your returns in the stock market. And look, if you were to wait 10 years to start investing, say 35 to 65, your money only has 30 years to compound compared to 40. And at the end of that, you're going to have 1.8 mil, with 300K being your contributions and the other 1.5 mil being your investment returns. You're missing out on over £3 million worth of gains by starting 10 years later. So start investing a portion of your savings each month, whether it be 25, 50, 100, 200, whatever makes you feel comfortable starting out. Because the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time to plant that tree is today. So that brings us to the end of another video. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. Subscribe to see my next video when it drops, or check out my other video, which YouTube thinks that you'll like. Let me know if YouTube got it right, because I'm personally invested. The question is, are you?